What was the closest I came to bitch slapping someone while working as a small arms repairman? I had a sergeant come to my shop at one point for... I was supposed to be done working at, oh, I don't know if I said thank you to Murphy X217. Thank you very much, Murphy X217. Anyway, while I was in the military, I was supposed to be done working at like 5 or 1700 is when I'm supposed to be done working. That's never actually the case. Anyway, so this guy comes down, or the sergeant comes down to my shop at like, I don't know, 4:45, 4:30, with 8 mortar tubes. Hey, we have a range tomorrow, and I need you to do the annual gauging on all of these mortar tubes. And I just straight up told him no. Like, no, I'm not doing that. And let me tell you why, Sergeant. Let me stand at parade rest now because you're throwing a fit, and tell you why I'm not going to be doing this. Because in order for me to do bore scope and pull over on one of these mortar tubes is approximately a 1-hour process. Because I have to use a fancy reflector camera thing to look down. I said, bitch. I have to look down the entire length of the barrel, inch by inch, and ensure that there are no cracks or long striations or anything unusual through the entirety of the barrel. And then, once I've finished that, I have to use a pullover gauge. I have to use a pullover gauge to inspect that the diameter of the barrel is even and not warped at any point. And I have to check that in 6 different points down the length of the barrel. And I have to check it at least 6 times at each one of those 6 points. Or no, maybe it was 3 times. No, it was 6 times at 3 different points down the length of the barrel. And then I have to use calipers to measure what the gauge said. So it takes over an hour for me to do one mortar tube. You are here at, 4:45 with 9 mortar tubes, and you want me to do bore scope and pull over on them. No, I'm not doing that. Lack of preparation on your point does not necessitate an emergency on my part. So, get fucked. I'm not doing it. He went and complained to somebody else, and basically I was told that I had to do it because they have a range tomorrow, and they needed to get annual weapon gauging done, even though they had wonderfully forgot to do annual weapon gauging for like 2 years in a row. Somehow, they had forgot to do that for like 2 years in a row. So now I have to stay really late and do that. I'm like, alright, fine, I guess I will do this. Where are your round count cards? The what? What the fuck do you mean the what? Where are your round count cards? Because for any piece of artillery in the US military, you have to have a booklet that dictates how many rounds you have fired of what type out of that weapon system. And if you don't have one of those, now I have to do even more work to make you a new round count card. Because now I have to do an even deeper inspection of the weapon system to make sure that it's not damaged, because we don't know how many rounds have been fired. It would be like trying to sell someone a card, or bleh, it would be like trying to sell someone a car, and then when they're like, oh, how many miles does it have on it? Oh, I don't know, I ripped that out of the car. I ripped out the mileage gauge. Why? I don't know. Did I get paid for those extra hours of work? In that I'm a soldier and get paid? Yes. But did I get paid extra? No. So, now I have to make new round count cards for every single one of the mortar systems. They bring the first mortar system into me. I take a look at it and go, this thing is fucking filthy. When was the last time you cleaned this? What's cleaning weapons? So I made them clean up every single one of the mortar systems before I would do anything. Basically, even though I had to stay late to work on these mortar systems, it was a good 2 hours before I even touched one of them because they were all filthy. As a soldier, you are effectively salary. Yeah, you are salary. Yep. And then they were the sergeant was very mad at me because I wouldn't do that. Or because I wouldn't fix his mortar systems. So he was like, yeah, really annoyed at me. Eventually I told him that I wasn't going to talk to him anymore and that he was going to have to send somebody else. And when he got really mad at me about that, I told him that I was effectively holding a warrant officer position, and if he didn't like it, then he could leave. Just like, dude, I'm the one that's in charge here. You need me to do this so you can get fucked. Like, if you don't like what I'm telling you to do, then you can fucking leave. How didn't they know that mortars need to be cleaned? Because they were members of a mortar team. Members of mortar and artillery are simultaneously the dumbest and smartest people in the US military. I wish I could explain to you how it's possible. But members of a mortar team are the dumbest and smartest members of the US military. They're capable of figuring out complex ballistic trajectories. 11 bang bang? No, that's infantry. 11 bang bang is infantry. I forget what mortar is. But they're capable of figuring out complex ballistic trajectories on the fly, no less. But they don't understand that a mortar system needs to be cleaned and that they need a piece of paper to go with the mortar system so that it doesn't blow up. So, yeah. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Okay, okay. Alright, I've returned. I have returned. Would I say being a gunsmith is difficult? Yes and no. As long as you're mechanically inclined, it's not that bad. Choo-choo! Hello, Treasure Panda! Choo-choo-choo. Mortar can be carried by people, therefore small arms. It's because, so the reason that mortars and artillery are small arms is because there used to be a separate job that was mortar artillery repairman. There was small arms repairman, and then there was mortar artillery repairman. And also the Bradley repairman was part of, or the main gun on a Bradley was initially tied into repairing Bradley, or was tied into like tank armor, or yeah, like a tank armor. But for some reason the military decided that it cost too much money to train people in artillery and small arms, so they just rolled artillery and small arms together and then put repairing the gun on a Bradley in with small arms repairmen, Because Bradleys are not normally in a tank unit. Bradleys are normally in a cav unit. So, yeah, it was basically arbitrary budgetary reasons. It is stupid, Treasure Panda. It doesn't sound stupid, it is stupid.